This is a turning moment, a new adventure waiting for you. It's time to grow.
Open your eyes and look up to the sky.
Open your mind and you will be free.
Just be yourself and always know that I'll be here.
I'll never let you go.
I'll never let you down, and I won't let you walk down this road alone. I'll never let you go. I'll never let you down, and I won't let you walk all alone.
Give your hand to me, look ahead and see there is hope.
That's right through the door.
All your energy shining bright and free, running on for love, changing lives.
This is a brand new journey, a road of challenge and uncertainty. I'll hold your hands.
This is the oath I've taken, a promise never broken for life, for you and I.
Open your eyes and look up to the sky.
Open your mind and you will be free.
Just be yourself.
Be yourself.
Always know that I'll be here. I'll never let you go. I'll never let you down, and I won't let you walk down this road alone. I'll never let you go. I'll never let you down, and I won't let you walk all alone.
Give your hand to me, look ahead and see
That is all that's right to the door.
all your energy shining bright and free, running on for love, changing lives. You go, never let you down.
Let you walk down this road alone,
I'll never let you go. I'll never let you down.
and I won't let you walk all alone.
Give your hand to me, look ahead and see that is all that's right to the door. All your energy shining bright and free, running on for love, changing lives.
This is a brand new story, a time for love to reach out to you, to be set free. This is a brand new story, a time for love to reach out to you, to be set free.
This is a turning moment, a new adventure waiting for you. It's time to grow.
Open your eyes and look up to the sky.
Open your mind and you will be free.
Just be yourself and always know that I'll be here.
I'll never let you go.
I'll never let you down, and I won't let you walk down this road alone. I'll never let you go. I'll never let you down, and I won't let you walk all alone.
Give your hand to me, look ahead and see there is hope.
That's right through the door.
All your energy shining bright and free, running on for love, changing lives.
This is a brand new journey, a road of challenge and uncertainty. I'll hold your hands.
This is
set free.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our weekly international top chat on every Wednesday, 3 p.m. at Live at IQI International Sales page. I'm Mandy Chen, head of IQI International Sales, your host of today. On behalf of IQI Global, the Asia's biggest real estate and investment agency, also a member of JUA IQI, I would like to thank everyone for supporting our program. Our weekly sharing usually will feature the foreign investment criteria and some of the best projects in the various hotspots around the globe. If you like our program, which you think is benefiting you, do invite and share it with your friends. Should you have any comments and questions, feel free to leave it at the comment box and we will revert to you shortly. Today, we shall talk about Mongolia. Anyone familiar with Mongolia? Perhaps if you know where it is, can you type 1 in the comment box? All right, so let's see. I guess not many people are familiar with investing in Mongolia as well. In fact, the country is actually a fantastic place for foreigners to invest in property. Being one of the fastest growing in the world, there are a number of reasons why Mongolia is the ideal destination for investors to consider. Well, without further delay, let me welcome Mr. Amara, Country Director of IQI Mongolia, to share with us why you should invest in Mongolia in 2021. Hi, Amara, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Mandy?
I'm fine. Okay, so well, perhaps that you can actually enlighten the audience. Where is Mongolia and why invest in Mongolia? So the floor is on yours, so you can start your presentations.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Amar Tukshin in Mongolia, so you guys can call me Amar in short. So I'm the head of the JUA IQI in Mongolia. So my presentation is about the benefit of investing in Mongolian properties. So the presentation has 3 sections. So in the first section, I'm going to talk about about Mongolia and its economy, and in the second section, I will talk about Mongolian property market situation, and in the third one, what's the benefit of investing in Mongolian properties. So as Mandy said that probably some of you guys don't know where Mongolia is located. So actually, Mongolia is located between Russia and China. So we are a landlocked country with the 2 neighboring countries, which is China and Russia. So our main export country is actually China. So in terms of the population, Mongolia has very small population with just only 3.2 million people. And also we have the 3 major cities. The biggest one is the capital city of Ulaanbaatar. So 45.3% of the population lives in Ulaanbaatar. So in terms of the economy, so the total GDP of the Mongolia is around 13 billion USD. So also in terms of the economic growth, the Mongolia was experiencing very good and robust growth up until last year. Because of the COVID-19 and the pandemic, most of the countries experienced the economic downturn. So it happened same in Mongolia. So we experienced minus 5.3%. So the inflation is 2.3% end of the last year, and the central bank's policy rate was 6% at the end of the last year. And the budget deficit was minus 4.5 billion USD, and the trade balance surplus was 2.2 million USD. So as you probably know that because of the pandemic last year, the government tried to manage the COVID. So they started giving the monies to the poorer families, and also the Mongolia initiated 2 times of extensive packages of fiscal and monetary measures to respond to the COVID-19. So this includes increase of the child allowance, also the unemployment benefits, exemption on social security, and contributions until the end of 2021. So if you see the screen, you can see that Mongolia's economy was growing very good up until last year. Actually, in 2011, Mongolia's economy was showed the highest record of 17% in the world. So the Mongolian economy is most of the time it was above the world average GDP growth. So I mean, the economy was kind of bad last year, but we are anticipating a very good, brighter future next year in terms of the economy and also in terms of the property market. The reason I'm saying this one is because the vaccination situation in Mongolia is actually pretty good. So compared to any other countries, Mongolia is listed in the top 20 countries that vaccinated of its population. So 62.2% of the Mongolia's total population is fully vaccinated. So also the Asian Development Bank is anticipating that Mongolia's economy will show a very good increase next year. So we are hoping that the economy will get better. So actually, Mongolian economy is very dependent on the mining industry. So Mongolia is rich in very good, coal deposits, golds, petroleums, and we have many other, mineral resources. So construction industry contributes like 7% of the GDP. Okay, so this is the second section of my presentation. So if you see the screen, you can see that the Mongolian property market is experiencing a very good, growth despite the COVID-19. So we actually do, divide the market into two sections. The primary market is the new apartments and new houses, and the secondary market is the old apartments and old houses. So if you see the table, you can see that the primary market, the number of the sold primary market is increased by 46.6% compared to the last year, 2019. And also the secondary market is almost increased to 70%, 68.85%. So in Mongolia, as I said, that there are like three major cities. The biggest city is the Ulaanbaatar. So in Mongolia, there are at the moment 348 projects, which is equal to 63,035 units. So among these projects, 228 projects are taking the sales orders, which is equal to 42,580 units. So the city of Ulaanbaatar has 7 main districts. So the Howell district, which is located in the south of the city, has the most concentration of the new, construction projects. So the 55.1% of the constructions are erected in the Howell district. So if you see this screen, so there is a price for the new apartment per square meters, and also the price for the apartments. So if you see the table, so most in average, the apartment price for the new apartment price for the new apartment is increased in 8.62%. So there are like 7 districts in the city of Ulaanbaatar, and if the district is closer to the central areas, the price of the new apartment is increased much higher. So if you see like Sukhbatar's district is very close to the central district of the Ulaanbaatar, and also the Bayanwald district is also very close to the central area. So also for the price for the rent is increasing. So if you want to buy like a property in Mongolia, I would suggest to buy the property in the central area or the closer to the city center. So if you want to buy the properties, it's probably a good idea to buy like the smaller apartments with one room or two bedrooms, and the price for the rent in average increased like 23.85% compared to the last year. So if you see, the increase, you can see that there's a very high margin investing in Mongolian properties. You can get like 8.62% increase in the average new apartment price. So if you are a foreigner to want to buy an apartment in Mongolia or invest in the Mongolian properties, there are lots of benefits for the foreigners, because the first benefit is the benefit of investing in Mongolian properties. There is no distinction between the local and foreign buyers. So the foreigners can buy or own the apartment or houses in Mongolia. And there is only one restriction for the foreign residents, which is the land. So the foreigners cannot legally own the land on a freehold basis. So as I mentioned previously, if you buy the properties in Mongolia, you can expect a very good, returns and the margins, because the new apartment price increased by 8.6% compared to the last year, and also the price for the renting the apartment is also increased by 23.8%. So in either ways, you can get very good and overall high returns. So also there is no, there's no legal restrictions for the foreigners to bring the cash or transfer the money, because the currency is fully convertible and freely floating, and there are no issues in repatriating profits out of Mongolia. So if you make the profits, you can take out of the Mongolia. There is no restrictions for the foreigners. And also, I would suggest that if you want to buy the properties, the investment in Mongolia, it's better to invest in a low-end standard apartments, because you can own that apartments. Also, if you want to sell the properties, your property can increase by like 20% or 8%. Also, if you want to, sell it very quickly, the smaller apartment is much easier for the agents to sell it in Mongolian properties. Okay, so how are you gonna buy the property in Mongolia? So of course you can find your desired properties, property on a Jewel Asia websites. You can type like Mongolia and you will see the Mongolian properties available to buy. So after you finding your desired properties, you can contact to us directly and can get the free advice, like what properties to buy. Is it a good idea to buy or rent, or can use it for your own use or the business use? We can advise you for free. So if you want to buy the property, the first thing you need to do is you need to check the immovable property owner's certificate, which is issued by the government. So if you want to buy the property remotely, our agents can check this, ensure it's a genuine, the owner is credible. So if the certificate is good enough to buy or transfer. So if you want to inspect and check the properties, you can do it by yourself, or you can ask our agents to show it to you remotely. So we can show the virtual reality, or we can show the 362 remotely. So once you decide to buy the property, of course, you need to sign the sales and purchase agreements. And once you transfer the payments, you have to pay the sales tax equivalent to 2% of the value. So once you do the contract and transfer your payments, all you need to do is wait for the new immovable property ownership certificate, so which will take like 3 to. So for the changing of the ownership, you need to pay the price of like 15 to 20, which is very cheap. So that's it. Okay, so in summary, I would say like Mongolian market can be considered as a small market, but we will guarantee you that there is a very good high margin for the foreigners to buy the property in Mongolia. You can see from the table is like the average price is increasing by 8.6%. The price for the rent is increasing by 23.8%. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, Amaria, maybe you can stop sharing the slide. Then we can come to Q&A questions. All right. Okay, there are actually some questions with regards to invest in Mongolia. Of course, today is just preliminary of introductions why you should invest in Mongolia and why there is so potential. So there's a bit of the technical questions when come to investing in Mongolia. So are you saying that as a foreigner, they can invest in both secondary market as well as the primary project in Mongolia, right?
Yes, exactly. So what I'm trying to say is that, if you are a foreign resident or if you're a local resident, there is no, differences. There's no distinctions between the two residents. So you can own or you can buy the property from the primary market and also the secondary market. There's no restriction. There's no legal restrictions.
Okay, so when they come to exit, they can sell to anybody, not necessarily to the citizens of Mongolia. They can sell back to other foreigners as well, right?
Yeah, there is no legal restriction.
Okay, so in one particular project, let's say, for example, there's no foreign quota or local quota. Everybody will have the equal rights when come to purchase of the properties in Mongolia.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no restriction.
And the other thing you mentioned about the a foreigner can actually buy both apartments and house, but they cannot own the land. So meaning that is it considered freehold or leasehold?
So you cannot legally own the land on freehold basis. You can't.
Mm-hmm. And
but
how long is for the house or for the apartment? Then how long will the ownership rights entitled? Is there a limit for it? A number of years?
For the property ownership, there is no limit.
Okay.
You can own it for a long time.
Okay. Let's say, for example, the apartment is actually sit on one big block of land, and the land is actually owned by another owner. So when the owner of the land decided to sell, will it impact my my apartments?
So let's say like apartment is based on the land, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that land is no one's land. So that land is for everyone. So if you see the property ownership certificates,
mm-hmm.
you cannot see there's a land.
Okay, so basically, are you trying to say that if foreigner were to go into Mongolia, want to buy a piece of land, that will not be allowed? But if they're going to buy the house or apartment, it's actually allowed, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, great. And then the other thing that as a foreigner, when they come to investing in property, because I'm sure a lot of us are pretty new into this market. So maybe can you just share with us, like, who will invest in Mongolia? I mean, based on the current market, which are the countries are the top 5 or top 3 investing in Mongolia?
Okay, so actually the main investor of the property investors are the people from China. So followed by Korea and Japan.
Mhm.
So the most of the Japanese people, what they do is they actually invest money in the new projects, like the projects has like 20 or 40% of construction progress.
Mhm.
So what they do ask is like, once I invest the money, I want the return of the money with the 2%, 20% increase or 30% increase once you finish your construction project and sell it to the target customers.
Okay, are you saying that the if let's say an investor were to invest in one of the primary projects, right? Let's say by paying a down payment like usually 30% to 40%?
Yeah, exactly. So that is like 40 to 60%.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then in between you pay nothing, and normally how long is the constructions will take? 2 years, 3 years?
2 years.
2 years. So that
2
means I
years.
paid the down payment 30 or 40% in the beginning after I signed the
Yes.
contract. In between, I pay nothing.
Yes.
And upon completions of the properties, I settle the balance. Are you trying to say that?
Yeah, so you have to pay in advance like 40 to 60% of the price of the property. So once the construction is complete and once the the registration paper is ready, you can transfer the second payments.
Okay, so the
Yes.
40% is like how long the durations for the investor to fork up the monies?
So it depends of the construction project. So it will depend, like sometimes it will depend, say like six months, or sometimes it's like 24 months. I think it will take like 8 months to 1 year.
Oh, so the 40 to 60% can spread over within 6 months to a year to settle, right? So
Yes, exactly.
investor do not need to come up with the money immediately, like 40%, 60% upon signing the contract.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, great. Then the other thing is that in terms of the cost of investing, as a foreigner, they want to invest in Mongolia properties, right? Beside paying this the 2% tax, any other expenses they should involve or paid?
Okay, if you buy the properties, you have to pay 2% tax. And also the seller of the property, he or she needs to pay like a 2% of the tax. So that will, like in total, will be 4%.
Okay, so 4% of the total contract price?
Yes, that
Okay.
will be the tax.
Okay.
So once you buy the apartment, and if you want to rent your apartments, you have to pay 10%.
On the rental income, right?
Yes, rental income. Yes.
So is there any lawyer fees involved when signing off a contract?
No, not so much. I mean, if you use the agents of the GUI or our agents, so what we charge is we take our charges from the customers who are selling the apartment.
Okay.
Yes.
So the purchaser, or I would say the investor, do not need to incur any other expenses beside the 2% tax, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you buy the properties, all you need to pay is just the 2% tax.
All right. So
Yeah.
I think pretty straightforward. No other miscellaneous costs involved, right? Like transfer of documents, transfer of legal rights and all these things, all inclusive in the 2% tax, right?
No, actually, it's 2% is the maximum amount of the tax. And on top of that, all you need to pay is like 20 to like 30 USD for the state registration paper for transferring to the new owner.
Oh, so it's only $3 US.
20 to 15 to 30.
50 to 30 US for
Yes.
transfer of documents.
Yeah,
Oh,
30.
Okay, that's straightforward. So another questions that coming is like, is the customers required to open a bank account, or they need to open a tax file in Mongolia so that all these related expenses or transactions will go through the account, or it's not necessary?
No, not necessarily. You don't need to open the bank account in Mongolia. So all you need to do is just transfer the payment through Mongolian, bank account. It's the same as transferring the money from the overseas.
Okay. So when you talk about just now, there's a question coming in that you talk about 40% to 60%, that amount of money is actually transferred to the developer or transferred to a trust account?
Okay, so of course there's a risk for the investors. I will say that there's a minimum, risk for the foreign investors or the buyers. The reason why I'm saying is like compared to any other developed nations, at the moment, Mongolia has not offering like a title insurance to the investors or buyers. So there are like maybe more than 10 insurance companies. They don't offer like a title insurance, which is pretty new in Mongolian market. So that's why they're trying to find the best solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and also there's no trust fund at the moment. So the trust fund, I mean, if you want to invest in, what you can do is like you can, ask our agent to sign the contract with you and ask the person to present on behalf of you in a Mongolian market if you want to buy the property remotely. So what we can do is like without of any charge, we can like check the documents if it's genuine enough or credible enough to buy the property.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So of course, being part of our Jua IQI family, Amaria side and his team will actually do all the due diligence and make sure the document signs and the projects they brought in is actually all very safe and secure, and your interest will be protected. So in this case, you do not have to worry because we have our local expertise are there to giving you a best advice is like where to invest, what to invest, and all this has been already taken care of. So am I right to say that?
Yes. Actually, we are one of the biggest property company in Mongolia,
Mm-hmm.
and we do have a very good relationship with the international legal firms located in Mongolia. Also, we do have a very good connection with all the major banks.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you want to buy the bigger properties like an office or the big residential apartments, you can
Mm-hmm.
buy in a whole basis. And if you want to sell it in unit by units, what we can do is like ask the local banks to offer the mortgage or loans to the target customers and target buyers.
Okay, so when you talk about that is on the bigger block of projects or on the commercial side. So come back to residential. If let's say investor would like to invest in one of the property, like assuming it's like apartments, 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom, right? So can they actually get mortgage or financing from Mongolia, or they have to buy cash?
Buy cash.
Okay.
Of course, they can do it, but I would say no.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm saying is like, the most of the people from China or Korea, as I said, they invest money in the new projects.
Mm-hmm.
So what they do is like they buy, if there's like a 16 floor apartment, let's say 16 floor apartments, what they do is like they buy like 4 or 5 floors in a whole basis.
Mm-hmm.
So once the construction is ready, they sell it to the local people. So if the local people wants to buy the apartments, so what they need to do is they can use our website or they can go to the bank branch and ask the property loan.
Okay, so basically they can actually earn some premium from there. Immediately completed,
Yeah.
they can sell it to another parties and earn some profit from there. And usually, is there any restrictions? It's like how many years you need to keep before you sell it to the secondary market, or there's no restrictions? As long as the project completed, immediately you can sell it off.
Yeah, there is no restriction at all.
Okay.
I mean, if you are interested in like new projects, the main risk for the foreigners is the title. I mean, what I'm trying to say is the registration paper. So the registration papers becomes available after the completion of the construction project. So once they check heating is good enough, the light is good enough, so then the government approves the project.
Mm-hmm. So usually it would probably take a few months to release the document. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes. That
Okay.
can be the risk.
Okay, understand.
Yes.
Okay, so the other thing that you're talking about, they can sign the contract, let's say assuming one of the Malaysians interested to invest in Mongolia, so they can choose one of the right project recommended by your site. Then when come to signing of agreement, so do they need to fly over to Mongolia to sign the agreement, or they can actually sign it in Malaysia itself?
Sign it in Malaysia itself.
Okay, so they do
Yes.
not need to fly over to Mongolia to sign the contracts.
Yes.
All right, that's good. Okay.
It's a good place to visit especially in the summertime, you know.
Which is now or earlier?
Not now. I mean, the summertime is from June to August.
Is it too hot then? I thought that spring.
Not hot as Malaysia.
All right, understand.
Yes.
Okay, the other question is that let's say the investor would to have invest a property and it's already completed. So who will actually taking care of the property in terms of property management? Will IQI Mongolia assist our clients to look after the properties?
Okay, so there are two options. I mean, if the person wants to manage by himself or herself, they can do it by themselves. Of course, there is a property managing companies. We have a contact with them. So what you can ask from us is like to make contact with them, or you can ask us to, manage the property or rent the apartment or sell the apartment to the target buyers. We can do it behalf of you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so normally what are the charges like for property management?
Okay, it depends, like 2.2% to 5%.
Okay.
Yes.
Based on the rental amount.
Yeah, based on the rental amounts.
Okay. And the other thing that what is the rental market like? I mean, especially in Mongolia, who will rent all this property, especially you talk about apartments? Will local rent these properties, or it actually depends on the expat markets?
Okay, so there are like two options. Two categories. Most of the rents are coming from the local residents. Especially the students from the countryside, or the people who have no apartment at that point. And the secondary one is actually the high-end market. So most of the specialists or the expatriates from the foreign countries, they rent the higher class properties in Mongolia. Okay, as I said that the Mongolia is very rich in mining deposits, so there are lots of mining companies. Probably the biggest mining companies are located in Mongolia. So, for example, the Oyu Tolo is probably the third biggest copper mining company. So people from Australia, they live in here, so they rent the apartment in here.
Okay. And usually how fast the apartment will be able to rent out? What is the vacancy rate like?
Sorry, say again?
Normally how fast the turnover to rent out of properties? It's like it take how many days in the markets in order for them to lease out the properties?
Okay, so in average, like people rent the apartment for 5 months. So you have to pay the bond for 1 month bond and do the contract for 5 months.
So the usually durations for the tenancy is about 5 months.
Yeah, it's about 5 months.
Okay. And how much agent will charge you for this 5 months tenancy agreements? Like,
okay, so as I said, like 2.2% to 5%.
Okay, so that is according to the tenancy agreement. So will this agent help the clients to collect the money, to bank into their account and all these things? Will they do all this? reporting and
Yes,
everything?
yes.
Okay, it's inclusive in this 2.5 to 5%
Yes, exactly.
kind of service charge. All right. And the other question is like, if let's say I were to invest right now, okay, and the project take about 2 years to complete, prior to the completions, I probably have due to some personal reasons, I would like to sell off my property. Is that allowed?
Yes, you can do it. I mean, you can do the individual people, or you can sell it to the companies. There's no restriction for that.
So we do not have to wait for the projects or the apartments ready first before we sell. We can sell in between. Let's say the project take about 2 years to complete. After I bought, within a year, I can sell it to anybody as I wish.
Yes, Mandy, there is no restriction. Of course, there is no restriction. You can sell it in between. But as I said, the government, they need to approve the project once the construction project is complete. So once the construction project is complete, the government issues the certifications. So certification is actually very important, because if you want to take the loan from the bank, you need to have the certification.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So there is a tiny risk. I mean, you can sell it, but it's better to sell the property once the property approved by the government.
Okay. So in other words, it's like there will be a risk involved if we to sell prior to the certificates issue. So it's always best for you to wait until the completions, and when the certificate already issued, then only you can sell it off to anybody, especially to the local. They need these certificates to get the loan. Right?
Yes. I would suggest that.
Okay. And usually you talk about who will buy the apartments? Will the local prefer to buy apartments or house instead?
Locals, they prefer to buy the apartments because the population of the capital city is around 1.5 million, and half of them are living in the Gir district. Gir is actually the traditional yurt, the yurt, Mongolian small house.
Okay.
So there is a very high demand for the low-end apartments. So that's why I was suggesting that if you want to invest in the properties, it's probably a good idea to invest in the low-end apartments, because there is a very high chance for you to sell it once the construction project is complete.
Okay, so basically, the demand is more towards the local who wants a place to stay. And you are talking about just now, you recommend 1 bedroom or 2 bedrooms. So which is more practical when it comes to investments? Okay,
so I showed like one table saying that if you are considering of investing in a low-end apartment, I would suggest to buy the apartment which has like 2 rooms.
Okay, understand.
So let's say like a price for the rent for 2 rooms is increased by 29% compared to the 2019. So almost 30%, it's a 30% increase.
So, but that is only for 1 year record. So what about based on the past few years, I would say 5 to 10 years, what is the average growth or return for buying such properties?
So for the price, for the rent, the average price increase was 20%. And for the price for the new apartment, it was like 7 to 8%.
Okay, so that is based on per annum basis, per year basis?
Year basis.
Okay,
Yes.
Understand. All right, so I guess that's about it. Okay. So do you have any I'm sure you have some recommended projects that you can actually recommend to our investors in the events they are interested, and I'm sure you can actually propose something. The other thing is that what is the minimum entry when it comes to investing 1-bedroom apartment versus the 2-bedroom apartments?
Okay, let's say like, of course we have many projects, and also we signed a contract with the GUI in this April. And the software development, the connections with the GUI is almost complete. So at the moment we have like more than 70,000 properties in our website. So you can choose from that, properties.
But what is the minimum entry?
The minimum entry is like, let's say for the two bedrooms, it will cost like 60,000 USD.
60,000 USD for 2-bedroom?
Yeah, so let's say 40,000 to 60,000 USD.
Okay, for 1-bedroom?
Yeah, 2 bedrooms.
Okay, let's say for 1-bedroom.
For 1 bedroom, let's say it's 30,000.
Okay.
30,000, 20,000 to 30,000 USD, which is very cheap.
Yeah, in fact, it
Very
is.
cheap, yeah.
Okay, so therefore it's like, I don't think investor probably need to get a loan. They can actually buy in cash if, let's say, they decided to invest.
Yeah, that's why I was saying like, it's smart to invest in a low end, a standard-based apartment. So if you invest in a standard-based apartments, you would get the higher returns, and you don't need to, worry about how I'm gonna sell my apartment once the construction project is complete.
And it's always,
of course, you can invest so much money in the, higher class apartments, but it will take a time to sell it.
Okay, understand.
Yes. Okay.
So, and primary and secondary, is there a lot of price difference?
There are price difference. There's a, let's say like 40 to 50% difference.
Wow, okay.
Yes.
So it's always good that you go for the primary markets, which is more affordable, right?
Yes, the primary market. So let's say if you want to buy the properties from the primary market, I would suggest to buy the property which is closer to the central business district, or the closer to the the universities or the public amenities, closer to the central area. So which is like, I say it like, okay, the Ulaanbaatar, city of Ulaanbaatar has 7 districts, and the Pijnenburg district, Sukbatar district, also the Chingleton district has the highest demand for the rent, and also for the new apartment. Okay,
great. So I guess that's about it. And thanks for your very informative kind of sharing when talk about invest in Mongolia. So in summary, we are talking about there is a regulated framework on the title and the property or ownership. So therefore, foreigner can actually have the equal rights as in local. So they can buy any kind of properties, houses or apartments on a freehold basis. Okay, there's no restrictions. And there's no currency control as well, and investor can actually freely to transfer money in and out of the country. And the best thing is that they have this great tax policy whereby very straightforward, 2% of the tax, and when you come to rental income, they only charge you 10%. That's about it. There's no other stamp duty or other capital gain tax involved. And the best part is that overall invest in Mongolia, you can actually expect a high returns for both rental income and capital growth, like just what Amara was sharing over the 1 year period. So you are talking about the price is actually averaging you are talking about 20% increase of the rental, and capital growth is about 7 to 8% a year. So that's amazing. So therefore, it's a chance to buy into Mongolia. And entry level is actually relatively low. If you talk about if you want to invest in 1-bedroom apartment, it's probably starting from 20,000 USD onwards. And if you want to buy 2-bedroom apartment, it's probably starting from about 40 to 60,000 USD. So again, amongst the Asians, I would say that Mongolia, in terms of the entry level, is actually relatively affordable. So for those who wants to try out and believe that Mongolia can be one of the countries that you can consider when you're investing abroad. Okay. So anything to add before we end these sessions?
That's about it. Thank you so much, Mandy.
Yeah.
And,
yes.
I think the presentation is just a snapshot of the Mongolian property market.
Yes,
of
exactly.
course, the person is interested in investing in the Mongolian properties. We can give you more information about more detailed information.
Yeah, probably we in next episode or whatsoever, if we can actually generate more investors, we can actually do a project review on Mongolia. So I'm sure Amara will actually bring one of the very interesting projects for investors to invest. Okay, so stay tuned with us. And should you have any further questions, please leave it in the comment box. We will revert to you. And if you want to know more about Mongolia project, you can visit our website, www.iqiglobal.com, or you can actually go to our jui.com website to check it out, Mongolia properties, or more information there. All right. And if you miss any of our sharing, you can watch the replay at Facebook at IQI International Sales, or later on you can watch it in our YouTube channel. Don't forget to join us same time next week for another interesting topic, and do give us supports and likes and share our program to your friends. Do stay strong and stay safe during this pandemic. Take care, everyone. I'm Mandy Chen signing off. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you, Mandy. Thank you so much.